welcome back to Studio Reverie. Oh shit, I left the audio on. Where is it? Oh my god. Where is it? Oh no. Sorry. Hold on, let me find the one. I don't know how I had it open 3 tabs. Okay, we're back. Hi, welcome back. We're here, Studio Reverie. We're doing our live recorded sessions of Arc 6 of ReZero. I forgot to change our thumbnail as well. Excuse me, there we go. This is more accurate. Couple more things before we get started. Number one, I was just surprised by Greenie, Common, Unseen, Al. I think I got everyone who was involved. Behind the scenes, they've been editing our sprites for Arc 6. They've also been setting up the edited chapters for Arc 6. So they are working through chapters 1 to 10. We're going to have the updated audio in a little bit. Uh-oh, there's another problem. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So we will have those up very soon. Yay! Other than that, we have our auditions for Arc 7. They are closing June 27th. That's coming up really, really, really fast. So please get on those auditions if you haven't already. The deadline's coming up very soon, next Friday at 3 p.m. EST. We are going to lock it down, shut it down. We will have callbacks, and then we will announce our official cast. We're zooming through Arc 6 like crazy. We'll keep you posted how many chapters we're going to do this Saturday, but we might try to push a bit more because it's a very Subaru narrator-heavy set. So we just want to rip through as many as we can, especially if it's just Subaru and narrator. We can get through a bit more. Perfect. I'm glad you're going to hear me just fine. I think that's it for my announcements. My last day of school was today. I have some exams to do, and then I promise I will give you guys your highly sought-after Arc 9 podcasts. The boys have been keeping up with it, so we will be posting those again. Thank you for your patience. Without further ado, let's bring in the cast. You guys are live. You guys are live.
Hey, everyone!
All right. Oh, yep. Nothing at all. Smile emoji. We will now. Did I turn on your audio? I didn't, so there's no fucking point anyways. I was just talking to myself. I hate myself, and I always will.
Kyle's a Subaru for real.
No! Hello, everyone. Pauses.
Hello.
Yeah, not at all. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
God damn. Hi, everyone.
All right, from top to bottom, let's introduce
Hello, everyone.
ourselves, starting with Al, number 1, Stan.
Hello, I am Alan Stan. I'm back in the basement. It is very hot in here because they did not install AC, and I am burning to death.
What?
Help.
We have fine AC.
You would have had to been there. Hello, I'm Connor. I'm your voice of Julius and Rom for the time being. Unless in those last 2 weeks of audition, someone snipes it from me on our page. Go check it out. And psyched for this one, too.
Wait, who'd you say you're getting cast as?
I said, and Rom for right now. Unless
Oh.
this next
Oh.
week someone snipes it in our audition.
I thought you said...
I was trying to segue into our stuff, but...
That was
okay.
good. Sorry, I thought you
Explain
said
it.
Vincent. And I'm like, yeah, go in strong. I love that. Greeny, sorry.
All right. Guess it's my turn. Greenie here, or by my full username, Gringor291. I'm one of the editors of Studio Reverie, and I'm here to have a good time.
Ooh. Hello, everyone. I am a very sick Common. I am the voice of Melee.
Oh, no.
Dying.
Hello, I'm Kyle. One moment. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm eating rice. I'm Amelia, and I'm organizing the audio levels today.
Hello, I am Tealdi. I am filling in for Beatrice, I suppose, and narrating. Yay.
Yay!
Hey, everyone. Wolf here. I'm playing Subaru today and forever. And I'm also a co-host of the ReZero podcast. Check it out if you haven't, guys. It's pretty good.
Just don't catch up yet. I need another week, please.
You heard her, folks. You know, make sure that you're pacing it well.
One
You
more
can catch all the way up to the
week.
end of Arc 8.
Yeah.
You
Our
won't be left with
thumbnails
any
are really
cliffhangers at
funny.
all.
You should look at them.
Just saying.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
One more week
They're
and I'm
funny.
locked into Studio Reverie. We'll be cooking. We're gonna have a lot of shit. We got half our cast
get ready for a
secretly
roommate.
editing. A roommate.
Oh yeah.
What
Yeah,
Oh, you're-
locked in the
Are
basement.
we cooking with Hungry Horse?
Oh no.
Wait,
Ew.
what?
Didn't Shala say that it tastes absolutely awful?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
No,
It
you
tastes
don't,
like
you don't
absolute
seem to
dog shit.
understand. They are the mechanism for which the cooking will be done.
No, this isn't delicious in dungeon.
Ah. They're the grill. I see.
Yep.
Ah,
Man, my grill keeps trying to kill me. I need to get a new one.
Sure.
Shala 2025 or whatever year it is. For them.
In the year of our Lord Dragon Volcanica,
Hey.
400.
It's probably like 401 at this
Yeah,
point.
401, yeah.
401.
Yeah.
The Volcanica.
400 years ago.
400 years ago. And plus 1 year because we've been here for 1 more year.
Wee.
A great Volcanica set out on a mighty quest.
Heyo. That's me.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Could use some half horse, half human meat. I wonder what that tastes like. Probably half horse, half human.
Cannibalism.
I suppose.
Moving on.
So if you've been accountable.
Let's get started with this chapter today. We're gonna get all
Yes.
of our voice actors out of the way, and then it'll just be Connor, Tealdi, and Wolf for the rest of the readings.
Enjoy,
yay.
Just a
everyone.
tad.
You will be experiencing live today a mental health crisis.
Yay!
All right.
One.
One.
Not only that, you get to play along with us too, because we are also, majority of us are sitting here and listening. So you can be just like us.
Suffering.
Yay.
Oh, jeez. Incoming dog. All right, all right.
The worms probably taste like big worms.
Okay, so can I get a quick recap of what happened in the last couple chapters since I was
Thank you,
out?
Dice. Oh yes. Who wants to take it away?
Okay.
Okay, so
Oh, no.
Take it away, Al.
Take it way out.
This is your hour.
This is your time. Step up, boy.
So he looped up. He looped, woke up, went I don't remember anything that's been going on. And he thought it was precognitive dreams. Tried to play it off by not talking to everyone as much. Heard them talking behind his back. Then he ran off to the stairs and then got shoved down the stairs and fell for like 5 pages.
Yep.
Okay.
And then he woke up again and then started tweaking out and ran off to Reed and got beat the shit out of by Reed, even though
And
Reed
stab with
tried to be like,
chopsticks.
bro, yeah, he disassembled like his organs, and put them back together, and then he got shit talked by his hallucination of himself.
Hell
Who you
yeah.
imagine does the
So
Grim Reaper.
average Subaru tweak out.
Yeah.
Deserved.
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 What did he do? What did my bro do? That's crazy because he thought it was deserved. He was like, I didn't put my dishes away. That's why I'm dying like this.
Yeah.
It's not deserved for the reason he
'cause
thinks
didn't
it's deserved.
wash the mug that had the hot cocoa residue.
Now it's brown forever.
Yep.
Yeah, he got. Hey, the pizza here. He got
It's
hit by
like-
that.
I've burdened my mother forever with that cocoa-stained mug.
That mug. I didn't put my mug in. That's why I'm falling down the stairs every 5 seconds.
Oh god.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
pretty up there on
Poor guy.
traumatizing deaths on the Subaru death scale.
Yeah. Pretty fucking bad.
All right.
Poor guy.
We caught up.
Yes.
Okay. Huzzah. All right.
Are we all ready for chapter 40? And by that, I mean, Kyle's and Wolf, are you ready for chapter 40?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yep. Let's go.
Okay, Mario.
Arc 6, Chapter 40, Forsaken by the Stars. Everything was messed up. Literally so messed up. He was found, brought back, and questioned about what had happened. Bit by bit, he found that the situation would get worse every time he said something.
All right, so Subaru really doesn't remember anything?
As he clutched his knees, the girl with the silver hair gazed down at him with a gloomy expression. Beside her stood a young, sweet little girl who could not come to grips with what he had said and reacted with shock.
We were at a complete loss when we heard that you could not be found. By no means did I think the situation would end up like this. It looks like we are facing a very difficult dilemma.
The girl with the white fox scarf wrapped around her neck grumbled this in a stiff tone. The knight with the handsome face nodded and muttered the occasional, "Yes, that is correct," as she spoke. "For how long are you going to be satisfied in exposing that unsightly appearance, Barasu?" Scowling at him as she said it was the girl who had cleaned up the mess that had been caked on him. But there was no great animosity in her words. Moreover, there seemed to be a forlorn expression hanging over her.
Master! Something in the air seems to have become remarkably more gloomy. Ah, you need to smile more. Ugh, what's that? You stink of piss!
The black-haired woman was laughing in good spirits without seemingly understanding the situation there. At the side of the black-haired woman there stood a young girl who was stroking her braided hair. She gave him a sidelong glance which seemed to barely show a small glimpse of interest in the situation she was in. All these reactions were, if we were to broadly speak about them, reactions he overlooked. Once, twice, this made it thrice. He had disappointed them 3 times. However, this time he had soiled himself after trying to escape from this place. He had been found alone, huddled up and crying. There was no room for doubt that it was the worst situation so far. Even though he is the only one aware of the real facts behind his truly dreadful situation. It made him laugh. The fact that he had repeated the same situation... No, it had not only been once, but 3 times. He had seen the scene the first time around, and then the second. Then, on the 3rd time he visited the scene, he finally grasped what sort of situation he was in. He had died twice. Both times, most likely, from falling from the same place. The first time he had lost consciousness on the way down, and because of that, he hadn't tasted the moment of death. However, it had not been like this the second time. As he fell down, he had not perished quickly. Instead, he had tumbled and crashed against the staircase, having his whole body ruined. He then finally died, but came back. At the moment of death, he would return to the green room, and once again he would wake up and redo the day. Die and return. Return by death. That was the blessing which this god had bestowed upon Natsuki Subaru in this parallel world. For the second time, laughter leaked from him. Whether one could objectively call it laughter was left to discussion, but it would suffice to say that for Subaru it was laughter. There was nothing else he could do except laugh. He felt as if his tears had honestly dried up. Crying also wasted his physical strength. He had died and then returned. It seemed like the physical strength he exerted before dying would be given back to him upon returning. This time he had literally soiled away his strength on awakening.
Anyways, let Subaru rest until things settle down. Over time, we may see some change.
Upon hearing the silver-haired girl's proposal, he knew that his treatment had already been decided like this. Was she thinking that he would lash out violently? Subaru's persona had been exaggerated. He had been brought back to the green room under everyone's supervision. "I am afraid we cannot leave Rem here with Barasu as he is now. Rom opposes it."
But apart from finding out what caused this, our best bet at helping Subaru recover would be to rely on the spirit of this room.
If that's the case, we will move Rem to another room. Rom will stay with her and look after her. Rom seems to be the only one who is worried about her right now. He wished he was in a place where there was no quarrels or clashes of opinions. Whatever it was, he had no options. Taking the initiative and having the willpower to do things such as resolutely overcoming the situation, the current Subaru did not have that within him. Poor Rem. She uttered this so Subaru could hear her just before she carried the sleeping girl, who looked exactly like her, like two peas in a pod, out of the room. Subaru had no idea about the true meaning behind her words, nor did he want to.
So stay here quietly, in fact. Betty will surely find a way to return your memories, I suppose. I won't let you cower here all alone.
Just before she left the room, the young girl spoke those gentle words. Her voice was tinged with grief, yet there was also a hint of noble determination within it. That voice was strong, confident in those words. In that way, in response to her voice showing that she was concerned for him, Subaru shrunk back in an attempt to avoid her outstretched arms. Seeing his reaction to this, the eyes of the little girl, with their characteristic patterns, swayed with hurt. They were strangers.
Oh,
They were strangers. No matter what, they were strangers. But for Subaru, they were not strangers. For those girls, the Subaru here was a stranger. Their familiarity, their worry, and their deep affection was directed at the original Natsuki Subaru, and not at his current ruined. And, at the same time,
I have no reason to be killed.
he had been left behind in the green room, alone. Subaru grit his teeth as he muttered this. Still, it was not a good thing to turn towards those good feelings of comfort, or to blow off the bonds that he had supposedly accumulated over time, and the trust and deep affection he had no memory of. Not yet. However, why did he have to bear the consequences of the murderous intent that Natsuki Subaru had accumulated towards him? All the good things and the bad things, everything that was jumbled together, was not his own. Despite this, why must he struggle and drown in this place?
I'm done with all of this.
After a few hours of being alone, Subaru pushed his back up against the wall and steadily got up. Having clamped down on his lips too much, he spat out the mixture of blood and saliva that had piled up within his mouth. Then, slowly, he began walking towards the green room's exit. Behind Subaru, the only presence he could hear was the black lizard's cry. The cry sounded somewhat feeble, as if crying out in loneliness. However, Subaru shook his head at that thought. There was a limit to his stupidity, of the idea that a mere big reptile could be feeling loneliness.
Somebody will bring you food. Shush now.
The lizard continued to let out its feeble cry despite what Subaru had said. Without listening to it, Subaru dispelled his reluctant thoughts and stepped out of the green room. He checked to his left and right, making sure the coast was clear, and started walking away, stealthily.
Water. And where they keep the food.
He knew that. As he had accompanied them to fetch water, he knew where he could find it. He also knew where he could find food. The only other question he had now was how much of it should he bring? To be honest, that was something Subaru did not know. What on earth had pushed Subaru down those stairs and robbed him of his life? However, there was something that Subaru clearly remembered. Back then, at that place, someone had pushed Subaru's back. It had not been due to some ridiculous reason such as being clapped on the shoulder from behind, or being blown off by a strong gust of wind. He had certainly been pushed. He had been on the receiving end of definite murderous intent. Natsuki Subaru had been murdered. The suspects were 7: Amelia, Beatrice, Rom, Anastasia, Julius, Maylee, and Shala. Subaru did not know how many of them were his friends, nor how many of them were his foes. After all, Subaru now had no way to deem if all of them truly were his acquaintances. In reality, couldn't it be that all of them were assassins, gathered here at this tower to kill Subaru?
If that's true.
Even if he brought all the food he could, his heart would not feel guilty about it. However, at the same time, the first and second time he had met them, Amelia had called out to him in the same manner, and Beatrice had told him that they would look for a way to return his memories, and Rom had cried out, refusing to believe that he had lost his memories. He doubted that they had been acting. It was impossible. Having gone through all that horrible stuff, he had been killed not just once, but twice. Yet Subaru doubted the girl and the others from the bottom of his heart, and despite that, he could not run away just for his own safety.
Shit! Shit! Half-ass son of a bitch!
He swore at his own disgraceful behavior, unable to choose as he started to secretly pack away food. He was collecting a so-called emergency ration, putting no consideration into what it would taste like. Of course, what was important now was that the food would fill him up. Other particulars, like taste, were tertiary. He had roughly taken enough food to last him 3 days. He had, in a similar fashion, drawn enough water and placed it in leather drinking pouches to carry along with him. And then...
There's a desert outside. But...
He donned a cloak that had been stowed away in the same place as the food. In terms of size and design, Subaru immediately noticed which one was his. The cloak was designed so when the front was clasped together, it could be pulled up to cover his mouth. It seemed like a perfect countermeasure against breathing in the desert sand. And after collecting food, water, and tools to help him in the desert, his preparations were complete.
I guess it is past the time when I've died twice.
If he had thought about it, the time he had spent huddled up in the green room should mean that he had perhaps already passed the time where he had been pushed off the last time. The effectiveness of Return by Death had immediately demonstrated its power. Like this, one by one, he could overcome his own death flags and continue walking the tightrope of life and death. He did not wish to do that. It would be better for him to not be in this place than having to go through something like that. Subaru jumped out of the room and initiated a jog, heading towards where the big spiral staircase was located using a mental map he had drawn in his head of the area. Twice he had been pushed down from this place. Naturally, his mind was screaming at him to get out of there. However... Immediately after arriving at the spiral staircase and being momentarily enraptured by the scene in front of him, Subaru looked behind him and carefully examined whether the assassin was hiding somewhere behind him. Luckily, because the time was different to last time, or because the assassin did not know where Subaru was, he could not find any trace of an arm stretched out preparing to push his back. About now, everyone was probably at the library where the memories of the dead slumbered, or they had headed upstairs to face the arrogant examiner that awaited them. The memory of having his internal organs messed with by this man resurfaced, and a feeling of wanting to vomit welled up within him.
As if you could challenge a guy who's like that.
He was not human, neither in skill or personality. By no means at all did it seem possible to win a challenge against such an opponent. If that was indeed the case, why would he not overlook the fact that they had gone to face a fight they knew they could never emerge victorious from?
Hell if I know!
Since a little while ago, this enigma kept popping up in his head and had been trying to stop his feet. So what? He didn't care. Although she may have been gentle and kind, it may have all been a lie. She may have acted worried, but behind her back she may have been sharpening the blade of murderous intent. At least she could have warned him of the possibility that a dangerous individual was lurking somewhere in the tower.
Well, what if the person they told me about is an enemy?
Enemy. enemy was a word of ridicule. In his everyday life in his world, relatively unaffected by conflict, the opportunity to utter a word such as enemy only existed within games. This word was one where one would be forced to use that word as if it was only natural. No, that was wrong. He did not want to be in this place. He did not want to stay here. Subaru ran, biting down the unbearable irritation boiling within his chest. He ran down the spiral staircase, heading down towards the out-of-sight 5th floor. There were many steps, endlessly spiraling down the wall, and he couldn't see the end of them as he went downstairs. He frantically ran down as fast as he could, puffing and panting to the point that it almost seemed comical. Still, he did not want to die.
I made it.
He made it down the stairs to the 5th floor. Unlike the 4th floor, the 5th floor was not divided into various rooms. Rather, it was like a single hall that occupied the entire space of the floor. The only thing that was noticeable within the 5th floor was a set of stairs that led downwards to the 6th floor, and
A huge door.
looking up at the huge door, he sensed a terrible feeling of oppression emanating from where it stood. Standing in front of the door, it felt like a strange, overpowering sensation was clogging Subaru's throat. He felt a slight, sandy breeze blow through. Perhaps the wind outside was blowing some sand into the tower through the gaps of the door. In the end, he was certain that this door connected to the outside.
If what Amelia and the others said was true.
Using this door, he should be able to go to the desert outside. Desert. He'd forgotten its official name, but nevertheless, he would follow the sandy road and head toward civilization. That way, at least, there should be no worries of having his life threatened by this cruel assassin. The basics of crossing a desert were to travel at night, avoid sandstorms, and try to move towards one set direction. This was the only knowledge he possessed on the matter.
I would bet that it's far more likely that I'll survive there than in this place, where it's certain that I'm gonna be killed.
It could be said that this was not quite a normal decision to make. However, whether or not this was an abnormal decision to come to, he did not think making it was a mistake. Under these circumstances, if he could not believe in himself, then only darkness would await him. He would never do such a thing like sitting in the dark waiting for death. Since his death, he had decided to fight back. He placed his hand on the huge door in front of him and slowly pushed it with all of his strength. The size of that door was over 10 times larger than that of Subaru himself. By all rights, even if Subaru were to push with all of his might, it should be that, due to its weight, the door wouldn't budge at all. However, when he pressed the palm of his hand against the door, it easily pushed open, as if it was mechanized. Subaru let out a flat sigh and stopped pushing the door open. Even if they hadn't noticed Subaru trying to sneak away until now, if he left the door completely open, then it was expectable that the girl and the others would notice. Even if Subaru slipped out and managed to get away, he wanted to make sure to put enough distance between them so that they couldn't catch up to him. Stopping the door from opening, quietly, Subaru looked out from the gap in the door to the outside. As soon as his eyesight adjusted, he witnessed a vast sea of sand swallowed by the creeping darkness of nightfall.
It really is a desert, eh?
He attempted to squint his eyes so he could see what lay beyond the horizon, but for naught. In this environment, there were no signs of any shelter. What existed at the end of the horizon was unable to be seen. There was no way for Subaru to know how far it stretched. However, no matter how far this desert went on for, it certainly would not go on forever. If you were to take a step forward, it would be one step closer to the outside world. If you were to get to the outside world, wouldn't that be one step closer to his original world? For a moment, Subaru's feet remained glued to the tower. He would probably, surely, leave this place. It made him feel a bit guilty to do so, as he would be leaving behind those without any ill intentions towards him. Subaru shook off these feelings. His attachment to go outside to his original world made him do so. He did not want to be here. Natsuki Subaru would return home because that was where his mom and dad awaited him.
So...
With a firm step forward, Subaru passed through the gap he had opened in the door. Stepping on the sand, he noticed that his feet sunk into the sand more than he thought they would. Taking his initial steps with quite a bit of force, Subaru stepped outside, into the outside world, and...
Huh?
A violent explosion from underneath his shoes suddenly launched Subaru high up into the air. Subaru had been thrown from his back onto the ground, making him black out. He was in a complete state of panic. Subaru now no longer knew whether being in a state of panic was more normal than being in a state of normalcy.
What the...
Hell happened. While spitting sand from his mouth, Subaru did not possess the leisure to continue those words. This was due to the imposing figure that now stood right before his eyes, presenting an answer to what the hell had happened. Right in front of his eyes, with the background dyed by the night, a huge shadow regarded him. It had a huge, limbless body with slimy skin. It looked ferocious, with cruel fangs lining its mouth. It appeared like an earthworm to Subaru. A terrible, gigantic earthworm. In length, it stood no less than 10 meters tall. An earthworm monster.
What?
Was this world full of monsters? Every single scene he had witnessed had been disconnected from reality, and had not given Subaru's heart a chance to calm down. And now, the latest crisis was drawing near to him, not giving him any chance to crouch down and lament his fate.
This... fucking...
Picking himself up, covered in sand, Subaru shook his head. Most likely it had been this earthworm which had struck him earlier and blown him away, because he was standing on its territory. That, or he had simply been standing in place where it had emerged to take a breath. Either way, the earthworm had knocked Subaru down onto the sand, and moreover...
It's not going to leave me be!
Understanding that in this situation he was at an overwhelming disadvantage, Subaru looked to his surroundings. He had barely taken 4 steps since leaving the tower. Although cowardly, there were plenty of options to pick from, such as jumping back into the building and living. However, as he looked around, Subaru cursed his luck. He had been blown away by the earthworm's blow and had rolled across the sand away from the tower. The huge earthworm stood in between him and the tower, so if he were to try to get back to the tower, he would have to go past the earthworm's huge body.
So...
Even if he were to return into the desert, he expected the earthworm to eventually catch up with him. Firstly, this may not be the only earthworm. Considering its size, there was a decent chance that this earthworm was the lord of the desert, although even 1/2 of its size would pose quite a threat as well. Not to mention if he were to be attacked by a herd of them.
In fact, was the option of escaping not even realistic?
He hated the kindness of this world, in that it had educated quickly and thoroughly. And it seemed like the earthworm had finally decided what to do about Subaru, who had been busy trying to puzzle how to get out of the situation. Slowly, the earthworm turned its eyeless head towards him and opened its gaping maw. There was a curved horn on its head, quite the surreal sensation for him.
One shot! Just one shot. Just one shot. One shot. One shot!
Picking up his anti-sand cloak to his neck, Subaru kept an eye out for the earthworm's actions. He pulled his arm to the front and calculated the timing for him to deliver his blow. He suddenly noticed that the wound where his nails had been ripped off on his right hand had closed, and that the nails had started to regenerate. Had it been healing magic, or the effects of the green room? And while distracted by that... The gigantic beast let out a terrible, shrill cry, which he could never have imagined coming from such a thing. The earthworm had then leapt, almost as if it was flopping towards Subaru. When Subaru heard its roar against the howling of the wind, for a split second he felt a strange sensation, like his body was acting on its own accord. The earthworm leapt at him. However, he rolled towards his right side and dodged its attack. He had not been thinking of anything else. It was as if he could see an illusion of himself on what to do next. He had simply followed what the illusion had done and moved his body alike. And just like that, he had moved out of the earthworm's attack. A large amount of sand mushroomed up into the air, followed by a shockwave right beside him. Whilst experiencing the aftermath of the attack, Subaru rolled over the sand, still following the illusion of his own consciousness. His body was far more agile than he remembered it to be. A split second after, what crossed through his mind was the year Natsuki Subaru had passed, which Subaru had no recollection of. There was a trace left of the experience Natsuki Subaru had accrued surviving in this harsh environment. Right now, he was not thinking anything about the fact he had made full use of that.
At this rate!
Rolling forward, with the nimbleness and vigor his precursor had left him, Subaru righted himself up and ran as fast as possible towards the tower's front door. In this moment, it was all about clinging on to whatever was in front of his eyes. He knew that he would return to an environment of shadows and suspicion, as well as that he would be tormented by the fear of death were he to make it back to the tower. But still, he would rather choose that than ending up becoming this giant earthworm's feces. He could not afford to look back behind him. But it should be that the earthworm, having plunged into the desert, should not have enough dexterity to be able to switch over and catch up to him immediately. He was only a few meters away from where he was running towards. Just now, instead of the earthworm's head, the earthworm's tail had broken through and appeared from underneath the sand at Subaru's feet. The soil underneath him violently exploded, the momentum of the tail striking his feet, hoisting Subaru's body up into the air again. Whilst revolving around in midair and flailing his limbs about, Subaru gazed at what was underneath him. Beneath his eyes, he saw that the earthworm was opening its large mouth, preparing itself to greedily devour his body. He had underestimated it. He was naive to think that he, having lived in a world similar to a greenhouse, could outsmart the wild animal that had lived in this harsh environment and gotten so huge. Reckless. He'd been reckless, and he would pay the price for his own impudence with his life.
No!
Whilst falling, he shouted this out like a trapped insect struggling to escape a spider's web. Die? Would he die again? If he died, he didn't know if he would even remain dead. If he was to die and it ended here, what would happen? Could he bear it? If he were to be thrown forever into never-ending darkness like this, could he bear it?
I don't want that!
He screamed and stretched out his hand to the night sky for help. There was nothing to reach out to. Even at the end of the sky, which was blurred behind some wispy clouds, he could not see the stars that were supposed to be there. Subaru was falling alone. He had been abandoned by the star bearing his own name, about to be swallowed into the monster's belly, blinking out and disappearing. Such despair. Suddenly, a surge of white light appeared. A surge of white light rushed forward and blew away the face of the earthworm that had opened its large mouth. Literally, the impact had pierced the earthworm's face, with its large head being warped in such a fashion it almost looked like it had been turned into an Amazaiku. And then, in a split second, it blew up. Chunks of dirty flesh and blood sprayed out of the earthworm's head as they flew off. The head that should have swallowed Subaru was gone, and the earthworm's huge body quaked violently. However, before its body toppled over, Subaru's own body crashed off the top of the headless worm. With a heavy shaking moment, it felt as if he had fallen onto a hamburger patty just before it was cooked. Its gaping wound, its internal organs, and the flesh and blood were the things that had cushioned Subaru's body. He had been given his life in exchange for the discomfort stuck in his hair. He coughed and sputtered violently, realizing that inside his mouth was some foul liquid which made him want to vomit. Meanwhile, the earthworm's remains were slowly sinking into the sand. Or rather, one after the other, light flashed across his field of view, and every time it did, the earthworm's remains were shot through. It was shot through, burst open, segments of it were sliced off, bits of it flew about. The earthworm was being cut into ribbons. It was only by coincidence that none of these flashes of light hit Subaru, which you could say was a stroke of luck in such a bad situation. However, eventually, Subaru noticed that its body, which had been shook by these impacts, had now been strewn across the sand. Subaru was now lying with his back on the sand, his whole body stretched out. Up above him, he gazed at the same starless sky he had gazed at when being flung up by the earthworm. By some twist of fate, he had managed to cling on to his life. Guy had not changed, and yet Subaru had still been abandoned. Being amazed, being wanted, being abandoned, being hated, being befriended, being kept away. Did he want to live? Did he want to die? Did he want to be here or not?
What should I do? If you know, tell me!
There was no one around. Covering his face, he yelled this towards the empty sky. He received no reply. Who was it that Subaru wanted to hear the answers from the most? It was probably
Hatsumi, Natsuki, Subaru.
Saying this in a miserable voice, Subaru sighed and turned his body to the side. There had been no particular reason why he had happened to turn his body, but that tiny movement had barely saved Subaru's life from the white light which grazed his ear and struck the ground next to him. Something had grazed right past his right ear with tremendous force. He clasped his hand to the ear, which was throbbing in pain, and rolled to the side. As the blood dripped out from his ear, he saw what had caused the pain. A long, narrow, glowing object, like a stinger, was stuck in the ground.
What is
this? As soon as he reached out to touch it, the white stinger turned into dust. And right after that, Subaru's field of view shook. It shook greatly, from top to bottom. Whether it's because of an earthworm wiggling, or whether it was because of that last stinger had stabbed into it, the ground underneath Subaru's buttocks was collapsing. He was sinking down along with the surrounding earth. His fingers slipped through the sand as he fell, trying to find anything to hold on to. Rather like an insect falling into an anthill, Subaru's body sank to the bottom of the sandy floor, unable to do anything about it. His arms and legs were buried. He was unable to move them. Turning his head up, he desperately gasped for air. His whole body was being swallowed by the sand. He frantically attempted to fight against the premonition that he was about to be buried alive.
Someone, help me.
Subaru's entire body was swallowed by the sand, sinking, with the following words never having been granted form. And the stars did not even take one single notice at the miserable, struggling Subaru.
Ta-da!
Woo!
Depression!
Depressing.
Oh my god, that is just brutal.
He's cooked.
F tier loop for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's just a series of F tier loops. To be fair.
I skimmed
game's
these
no
chapters
information.
quite aggressively.
I
Like,
think this is one that we have to thank Fanta for fixing as much as he has some of the previous
Oh
chapters.
yeah,
Yes.
I did very minimal changes for my proofreading for this chapter. Has done such a good job with this section of Arc 6. Like it's so much better than what it originally was.
Fanta.
Sticky.
Good job, Wolf. Like, that was such good acting the whole time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
And you were worried.
I was. It's weird when you're like, it's one thing being the main character, but it's another thing having to carry like a load of pages by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get ready because you're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I think I'll be doing it for a little bit too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I think
look-
it goes on for quite a few chapters.
I took a look at the chapters for Saturday, and it looks like 41, 42, it's going
Is
to
it
be
the same?
Subaru narrator heavy, but then we lose it for one chapter in 43, it comes back 44. So Saturday, I'm thinking chapters
course.
42 to 44.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
bang
sounds
out a load of
doable.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
sounds good.
And then if it breaks down again, maybe next Wednesday we could do the same thing. Go up to 3. I think that'll be pushing it back into like lots of people again. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
if everyone's down for 3, I'm done school after next week. So
Yeah, I mean,
we'll check in
yeah.
each week.
44 's
these
pretty short,
chapters are a
too.
lot easier to,
Yeah.
even though some like they vary in length, they're a lot easier to do together and binge because
Mhm.
they're a lot faster paced than what the beginning of Arc 6 is, where it just kind of feels like not a drag in a bad way, but you're like, whoa, this is pretty slow.
Let's have the same conversation with Roswell for 3 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay! We missed him.
I do miss him. I miss Roswell right now. Help Subaru, please.
That's crazy.
Imagine if he's sinking through the sand and all of a sudden from above you just hear an "I'll go" again. It's
I'll
just-
Subaru-kun!
You
Oh,
fucker! where have
Subaru,
you
can you
been?
find yourself in quite
I'll
the
go!
predicament?
You're lucky I peeked ahead at the Tome of Wisdom last year.
I knew you would be
Subaru,
here.
Subaru's
You
like,
can't
who
fly
the-
like I can.
He's like, who the fuck are you
My
weird
guardian
flying
angel.
He's got
After Subaru
Petra.
gets abandoned by all the girls in the tower, the person who shows up and saves his life is fucking Roswell.
I'll be
Roswell.
here for you, Subaru.
Nothing would
Oh,
probably make
fuck.
Roswell happier than getting a reset Subaru that he could start manipulating again.
Yeah, I was about to say, like a fresh
Yep.
started Subaru that he could twist. I mean, Subaru's at the point where if someone who is smart enough and would understand the situation like Roswell, he could definitely manipulate this Subaru into what he would want.
This
He
is
would
why
literally
Otto
probably
is
just,
also
like-
not here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if Otto was here, Subaru would be having no difficulties right now.
If Roswell was here, he'd probably immediately go like, "Oh, Subaru, do you know your power, or do you remember your power?" And like immediately,
You're immortal.
You're immortal, Subaru.
What?
Huh? What? What?
But not
Like,
the
that
fun
telling that
kind.
to
No.
First Luke Subaru
And
would've
everyone
been-
was like, it starts
Ooh.
kneecapping him again like he does in Arc 4, like, ooh, time to reset, Subaru, do what you need to do.
He's like, how? I don't know either, Subaru.
This was Tepe's clever way of just reliving the past.
Yeah.
it was.
I mean, thematically, that is what
If
it
Otto
is,
was
yeah.
here, he wouldn't have been let in that room alone, bro. He wouldn't have been left in that room alone if Otto was here. Otto would have stayed with
No.
him in the green room.
100%.
And, but he's not here, so everyone left him alone again, unsupervised.
Well, again, because no matter like how much people think they understand Subaru, they all see like a lot of the positive of Subaru. They don't see Subaru's dark side most of the time, so it always hits them from left field when it happens, right? Like,
I was like, it's Subaru, we can leave him alone here. I mean,
I mean,
like a
Subaru
good
is
guy.
like
He won't-
laughing darkly to himself after they found him and he's in a puddle with his own like spit, tears, and piss. Like,
yeah,
Well, Piss Arc would return with a vengeance.
piss arc returns.
I mean,
yeah?
technically,
A callback.
Subaru Piss Arc.
Yeah.
it did come back.
I can't believe Subaru's small bladder came back to bite him like that.
Yeah, waking up in a room
Betrayed.
being freshly healed and having pissed himself. That we've seen this before.
I've seen this ceiling before.
This is a familiar ceiling.
Fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna get that line again eventually, huh?
It doesn't bode well that the next chapter is titled "Scent of Peace" when we're talking about the return of the Piss Arc.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yuck.
Centipede.
So this piss smells.
Thank you,
fine,
Teal'c, for
almost
explaining
like-
the joke.
This is the deep end analysis that we do here at Studio Reverie, guys. We're even better on the podcast.
Which you should totally tune into.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You have to.
What do you mean you haven't
don't,
watched past this
kill
point?
you.
Spoilers! Ah, that would have ruined a story like ReZero, where plot points are important. What do you mean?
They skip ahead 2 arcs to just listen to the podcast and be like, "Oh, how the fuck did we get here?"
I cannot imagine
Well,
how
now I
crazy
have to
people
go back
would go
to the live
watching
reading.
those podcasts without reading anything and just be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Yeah, like jumping straight from arc 6 to 9, skipping 7 and 8
Yeah.
on the podcast, going, "Wait, what the hell?"
You'd be surprised we've had people do that. But
Wait, what? Really?
yeah. I get some wild messages on the.
Oh no! Do you
This-
think people accidentally click on it and they have no idea what it is?
Yep.
Oh no!
But like,
Oh no.
with love and respect, you can't help stupidity sometimes. Sometimes it just, with love and respect, we love our people. But sometimes you guys do silly things, and that's okay. But we all do. Have you met me? I do stupid
Yes.
things all the
And
time.
me.
And
Complete
and then
uninspired.
everyone goes, and me, and me.
I mean, have you met Subaru, bro? Bro's an idiot.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
God, that was really aggressive of me. I do
Most of the
apologize.
time.
You are all not stupid. I just have no ability
you're
to
all
not
speech. Nuts.
Not ski.
Also, as a
Nice.
bit of a clarification on the end of that last chapter, where he's like looking up at the stars and demanding that Subaru talk to him and tell him what to do, he's lamenting the fact that he can't see the Pleiades constellation.
Yeah.
Like the
Mhm.
writing changes from katakana, how he spells his name, to the kanji that you would write Subaru with.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's either that or he's talking to the car company, but that seems less likely. Sierra did not like that joke.
Sierra did not
Did
like
it?
that joke.
Car?
I gotta
Car?
I gotta go calm her down 'cause
Car?
Not so far from Riles.
I heard a car.
The stars.
Subaru is the Japanese for the constellation. Yes, it is the Pleiades.
Mhm. Not the constellation, it's a cluster.
The
Oh, it's
cluster.
a star cluster.
Yeah.
Star cluster. A gathering of stars rather than a strict drawing, I guess, shape
Pattern.
pattern.
Mhm.
Yeah. God, Subaru, the car company, please.
I honestly, he could use one of those right now. Just drive out the desert.
Yeah.
I mean, if his foot is sinking inches into the sand from a single step, a car is not going to drive over that well.
No.
Range
Let-
Rover.
Hey,
Except for the
just needs a
Ford F-150 with all-terrain
Ford
engine.
F-150.
Just needs a bit of elbow grease, maybe a bit of fire magic, and like a fucking jet engine on the back of that baby, and he can go. Okay.
He's gonna run over the earthworm. I don't know if that
Can you
would work.
imagine
actually.
Subaru just Tokyo drifting in the Subaru in the fucking in the sand dunes?
It's like at one
Subaru
point
in
Attack
another
on Titan
world
had a
besides
car
Subaru?
commercial that was showing that their cars could escape the Titans. They just do the same thing with Subaru getting out of a Subaru.
That was a thing.
Yeah, it's like a real
That's
commercial.
amazing.
Look it up.
Come on, the ReZero ad space, it's there to pay. You know, I'm just saying.
It's not because Katakawa keeps buying up the ad space.
They do keep buying the
Oh,
ad space. It's
yeah.
quite funny. Subaru's
true.
peed himself. Well, we've got the perfect thing for you. Cologne. It covers up the scent of piss. Here you are.
Imagine just a chapter randomly Subaru turns towards the narrator and just starts speaking an ad.
That'd be a great fourth. Do you know what would be fucking
Nah.
funny? That'd
And
be like
today's sponsor is.
That'd be like a-
Today's RPT has been brought to you by.
that'd be a great callback
He's
to
falling
part
down
one
the stairs,
when he's like fighting
vomiting,
whatever ends up being
you know.
the final boss of the story. He's just like, sorry, we need an ad read for our sponsors, and then they just blink and they're like,
You know what help in this scenario? A car. I'm gonna hit
NordVPN.
him with my Subaru.
NordVPN. Do you have witch coders following you around like dogs? Well, if you use NordVPN, they won't be able to track you as effectively.
Them halfway
He's
across the
falling
world
down
and
the
they'll
middle of
never
the stairs.
know.
He's vomiting, spewing vomit upside down. As he turns to the camera, you know what helped in this situation? If I had a barf bag, you could buy 2 barf bags
Oh my god, no! It's like he's got everyone like around him ready to do the final battle, and he's like, "Get ready to raid!" And they're like, "Yeah, let's fuck him up! Raid Shadow Legends!" And he's like,
Shadow
"What?"
That's the game that
collab is
the
with
ReZero world
Shadow
has been in the entire time. It's just Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, it's just raid.
You know what would really help me get across this sand? A tank. Download World of Tanks
World of
today.
Tanks.
Maybe a plane too. I need a Spitfire. War Thunder.
Wait, are you wait? Are you telling me this is a sea of sand? World of Warships
Yeah.
coming to you right now.
How did you come
so
over the
fun.
Great Cascade, Subaru? Well, I used my beautiful battleship here.
Wait, is that an earthworm in a sand sea? Dune 2.
Oh, that's
Today we will find the spice. I can't believe they call spice miasma in this world. It's so strange.
Yeah, that was so weird. I mean, like, come on. It's,
I mean, they do
it's
both
just
come
spice.
out of like the like most dangerous monsters in their world. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious. We just have a deranged friggin' ReZero theory that it's just gonna mirror Dune. Is that is that where this is going?
I can't believe
you just hear
Subaru
Amelia
was the
screaming
Messiah.
off key in
Ooh
the
la la.
background.
That laugh was crazy.
They were.
Lord of Pleiades instead of Atreides.
Oh my god. Okay, I think the fan fiction's going too far.
Yeah,
Time
let's
to
jump
get
into
back.
Yeah, we need to save the fan
chapter.
fiction for Mustiff.
You're right. TLD, you ready for soloing basically this whole chapter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's
I leave
You'll
go.
be
this to you,
feeding
Mr.
information
Narrator.
directly
got
into our
this.
brains.
All right. You ready for this, Wolf?
Yeah, I'm
We
fucking
got
ready,
this.
Shorty. Let's fucking do this!
Let's go. All right. Arc 6, Chapter 41. Scent of Peace. His consciousness returned, and the first thing he felt was a difficulty in his breathing. Feeling something unpleasant collected in his mouth, he coughed violently, spitting out sand and forcing open his heavy eyelids. He had lost consciousness. He had not dozed off. It had been a forced loss of consciousness, brought about by an irresistible wave. He felt sand trapped within his eyelashes. While fighting against that, Subaru wondered what had happened and attempted to recall what had occurred to him just before. If his memory was correct, there had been a terrible confusion, and after that, he had attempted to leave the tower. There was no doubt that he had managed to leave the tower without being disturbed by anyone, but
The earthworm. The white flash of light.
recalling the terrifying incident that happened just after that, and recalling how the impacts had continued to rain down one after the other, Subaru seemed quite suspicious at whether he was actually alive. Had it been only luck that he had survived all these abnormal events he had been dragged into? However, even if he were to die, it was doubtful that he would truly remain dead. Though, that was what the current Natsuki Subaru was, an unwanted foreign being.
After the stingers, I fell right into the termite nest.
He remembered that the ground beneath him had collapsed, and he, along with the earthworm's gigantic carcass, had been swallowed by the ground. He had managed to stretch out his head to secure some oxygen. However, even his head had been swallowed up by the sand and caused him to fade out of consciousness. It seemed as if he should have died of suffocation, but that had not been the case.
Place. Is this underground area beneath the desert?
Looking around, He was unable to locate a source of light in this space. The darkness was so thick that he could barely see anything nearby. Opening his heavy eyelids, he took the palm of his hand out of the sand and pushed it to his front. Only barely could he see that it was there. The world around him was too vague to let him see the existence of this lifeline. It really seemed as if he just barely remained in the world of the living.
Stop shivering. Ugh, damn idiot.
Thinking that much, Subaru attempted to slowly move his arms and legs in an attempt to release his body, which was trapped in the sand, from the heavy pressure that enveloped him. The feeling that he could not breathe was due to the bed of sand that had swallowed him from his waist down. He was quite lucky that his upper body had not been buried. One could say that this process of extraction could be likened to trying to raise a flag on a sand dune without the flag falling over. Subaru carefully extracted himself out of the sand, moving it away, making sure to avoid making any poor movements so he would not bury himself in the sand again. After barely escaping from the sand, he felt a great sense of fatigue overpower him. It was likely because his body temperature had been sapped by the cold sand, along with the continuous pressure it had exerted on him. The fact that he was incapable of grasping how long he had been out cold was horrible.
Guess I was lucky that when I was out cold, another earthworm didn't come and munch on me.
While speaking, Subaru became aware that his throat was parched and moved his hand to his waist. Back when he had escaped from the tower, he had fastened some leather pouches containing enough water to cross the desert. But his fingers, which had been trying to grab that water, closed around thin air. Despite fumbling around several times for them, he could not find the leather pouches.
I should have expected this, considering I was buried from my waist down.
It seemed like the water pouches had come off upon being swallowed by the sand. As well as that, it looked like the bags filled with his emergency rations had disappeared as well. Although it indicated he was in a fatal situation, he remained calm at heart. Already, his heart had been paralyzed by this cruel situation. It was perhaps becoming absurd to react every single time like this.
At least it's gotta be nearby.
Getting on his knees, he fumbled around the bank of the sand mound that he had just gotten out of. It was quite a large amount of sand. He did not expect to find it, but as if it was just mere consolation, he felt something soft exactly where his body had slipped out of. Confirming it with his fingers, he was surprised to find that it was the leather pouch that he had been looking for. But
It's empty. So, why am I even surprised by this again?
feeling the pouch with his hands and gauging its weight, he realized the contents were empty. Just in case, he placed the opening of the leather pouch to his lips, but only a few drops trickled onto the tip of his tongue. Even if it was just a little bit of water, right now, every drop of it was precious. Enjoying that sensation on his tongue, Subaru placed the leather pouch to his waist and decided that he would feel around his surroundings again. Considering he had found his drinking pouch, there was also a chance that he would find his food. But such an expectation had been betrayed, just like when he had found his water. His food had fallen out and was now scattered all around the mound of sand he had been buried in, almost as if it had been messily eaten up. Due to it being dark, his vision around the sand bed was poor. However, he could recognize that the food that he had brought now remained scattered around it. The crumbling pieces left on top of his palm had not maintained their original shape. In concrete terms, he recognized that the food was now inedible, and so left it there, scattered. Gulping, Subaru's throat ached in thirst. Subaru's food was strewn around his surroundings. This fact clawed at Subaru's mind, as if it was scratching him with nails, as he desperately tried to remain calm. Subaru started to sweat profusely, wasting precious water, as fear filled his heart as he thought of being preyed upon by earthworms. Originally, this huge earthworm had crawled out of here, so this was the monster's habitat, so to speak. The earthworm, who must have been the leader among them, had died, but it posed no surprise to him if there were other monsters with which it had cohabited dwelling in this passageway.
I need to leave this place.
As soon as possible, Subaru thought. However, he was aware that his surroundings could not be perceived well. He started to crawl using his hands and knees, relying on feeling his way using the ground beneath them, never mind even the walls. He could merely flee crawling on his hands and knees, making sure to check for ground, walls, a path, his own being.
Ow! It hurts. Oh, shit! Ouch!
His right ear had been grazed by the white stinger. The fingernails on his right hand were still halfway through regenerating, and the organs in his body were still aching him. While suffering from all this pain, Subaru was crawling out, trying to escape this place. Even if, beforehand, he had not known exactly what the heck he was running away from, now he must do anything to get away from this strange being. Anyway, in order to get away from this unfamiliar horror, he had no choice but to continue his escape. Smelling something, Subaru moved his hands and feet forward towards it, as if being guided by it. Smell gradually became stronger, eventually becoming strong enough to be regarded as a reliable sense. It guided Subaru deeper within. It had been a little over an hour since Subaru had begun to crawl out of this place. Whilst escaping, Subaru had accidentally slid down the sand bed quite a few times, and had also been obstructed by walls in his way on this trackless path. Sometimes, sand had rained down from above, which had caused him to react by rolling over in fright. Whilst doing that, Subaru realized that he was within a cave, underneath the desert. Although that he had noticed had not been any great salvation, in fact, it did bode an omen to its real meaning. A strange, yet alluring scent suddenly drifted into his nostrils. By no means could he call such a strange thing sweet-smelling. In a typical situation, smells were generally considered to be of lower priority and had less value when trying to figure out a situation. However, considering that his sight was sealed by darkness, and he could not tell what was happening in the world around him, this sudden stench felt extremely fresh to him. Therefore, Subaru started to crawl, using the wall to feel his way towards the source of the scent, just like when a young child first began to learn how to walk using walls. Sniffing with his nose, he looked exactly like a dog following a trail towards the depths of the cave. No, to the depths, or maybe the entrance of the cave. He could be sure where this scent was leading him towards. Without even noticing, Subaru had stuck his tongue out and begun to pant heavily, exactly like a dog would. He had heard that dogs would stick their tongues out and pant in an attempt to cool their body down, but Subaru did not really equate this comparison to his current gesture. The reason why Subaru had lolled his tongue out, imitating something that a dog would do, was because he wanted to increase the amount of knowledge he could obtain from his surroundings by sensing the flow of the air on his tongue. In just a few hours spent in black, Subaru had applied the methods that creatures use to move about in the dark. Naturally, his half-baked attempt was completely different to how it occurred in reality. The darkness was unchanging, and did not provide Subaru with any hints of what was around him. In this lonely area, all he could hear was his own breathing and the faint scratching noises of himself paddling across the sand. However, this felt comfortable to Subaru now. It was terrifying. It was horrible. But one way or another, he must manage it. It was the first time he had naturally embraced this natural human feeling. Right now, Subaru loved this silence and this darkness and this lonely space where no one was around. Right here, no one would hurt him. Right here, all he needed to do was keep floundering around to try and escape. Right here, he need not think about anything. There were things to do. A feeling of complacency, similar to the feeling one would get if, by letting a muddy river sweep them along, embraced Subaru's heart. If he could just meld away into it, that would be no problem, wouldn't it? In this manner, he had submerged himself in thought about it whilst escaping from his fatigue and habit.
Damn it. What is this?
Subaru had steadily crawled through the dark cave. On his way, he had come across a fork in the road, with a path going left and the other one right. He anxiously deliberated on which path to choose, and in the end had decided on the right path. From then on, there had been a long, long journey whereby he followed the scent. Would there be a place where he could find relief at the end? Would he reach somewhere which had light? Even though such a prospect was not necessarily true, Subaru had pushed forward without any concern for this. However,
There's a dead end right here.
the path he had followed had steadily narrowed. After going up a slope, Subaru had found a narrow path awaiting him, which could only be traversed by literally crawling. At the end of it was a wall of sand. Ultimately, it was also where the source of the scent ended.
Why did I even come all the way here? No. Wait a sec.
Angry at the blockage in his path, Subaru had been about to strike the wall of sand, but caught himself. He racked his brains at the current contradiction in front of him, having followed the scent all the way here. Subaru had unmistakably arrived here by following the scent lingering in the air. The scent had been wafted in by a draft, and had certainly arrived all the way to Subaru far below ground. In other words, if the wind had flowed from here, it meant that this wall of sand could not be a dead end. The draft had surely flowed into the cave from the outside.
That's so...
Frantically palming his surroundings, Subaru shuffled back a bit. He fumbled around the dead-end path for anything. He had not missed anything on the left, right, front, or bottom. Then where had he not looked? He had been forsaken by the stars. Had he been afraid to look up?
There it is.
After more than an hour of backtracking, his hand that had been touching the ceiling brushed against the air, and Subaru's eyes sparkled. Standing up, he put his arms up. They did not hit the ceiling. Even when he put his shoulders up, they did not hit the ceiling. There was a hole, more than twice as large as Subaru's waist, and so his body could fit through it easily. In other words, if he were to push up using his back and legs, he should be able to climb out. A gentle breeze was flowing from somewhere above the hole. Until now, Subaru had clung on only to the target that he had been pursuing, the scent. It was flowing in from the wind above to the underground area below that he was in. There was no choice now but to climb up as Subaru had sniffed to make sure of it. Placing his body by the hole, he pushed his back against the wall. Of course, because the wall had been fashioned out of sand, if he made even a slight mistake in the angle in which he applied his body weight, he would risk having the wall and his plan collapse. Being careful not to do just that, he placed his feet against the wall too. Subaru thrust his feet and buttocks up and slowly climbed out of the hole. Fortunately for him, there were some grooves embedded within the wall in some places, which to an extent helped Subaru support himself as he made his solitary climb. Perhaps a person possessing superhuman physical ability could simply put their feet on one of the grooves and get out of the hole by merely jumping. However, Subaru was not in possession of such physical abilities. Thus, he had no choice but to continue steadily climbing up. Still, it seemed like his body had been trained in the time Subaru did not recall, and was suited to withstand activities like this. He gradually adapted to his body having a new engine, just like as if he was getting used to driving a new car. He'd gotten the hang of it by the time he had managed to pull half of himself out of the hole, and had established that he was a pretty good climber. However, before being able to show the full extent of his ability,
I'm out.
he did not know roughly how many meters he had climbed up the wall, but taking a look at it, he had climbed up to such a height that, if he were to fall down, he would die from the resulting fall. With this self-praise in mind, Subaru finally succeeded in climbing up the wall. He did not feel any great emotion about it as he thought he would have. That was not down to him thinking anything tedious such as, when you go and do it, this is how it is. All he thought was, climbing all the way up the wall was a piece of cake when faced with this. Pulling himself out of the hole, treading onto fresh sand, Subaru stood up. And, taken aback, he muttered a brief word about the majestic structure standing in front of him.
A door.
Standing right there before him, without relying on anything else for support, was only a strange door. Subaru was at a loss at what to do about the door that was standing right before him.
I can see it.
It seemed that the hole Subaru had gone through did not lead directly to the surface. He was most likely still inside the cave. If there were different tiers to the cave, then the place he had probably dropped down to was B2F, and now he was at B1F. Rather than it being a large-scale area, that space had been hidden by the means of something that could be dubbed as a stopgap. The room had nothing that resembled walls or floors. It had only a single door which was standing there stock still. Could there be anyone at all who could fathom what this meant?
Of the me, that is.
While regarding the door, Subaru announced this with extreme arrogance. Placing his hand on his chest and widening his eyes, he was clearly aware of what the door he had suddenly encountered was. It was his door. He had a strange confidence about it. He was confident that this door was his own. The draft that had flowed to the underground area he had been in, the scent that had been carried in by the breeze, he had followed it all the way here. Everything was bringing Natsuki Subaru to this place. And now, the door that stood in front of his eyes was glowing. Even in the darkness, it was asserting its presence, longing for the moment when Natsuki Subaru's hand would open it. Subaru walked up to the door with a spring in his step, as if he was about to go and caress something beloved, like a sweetheart. It looked like a set of wooden double doors that were about twice as high as Subaru. Straining his eyes, he could see that at the center of the double doors was a doorknob that allowed it to be opened. He also noticed a strange pattern in that particular area. There, 7 jewels could be seen. Whilst looking at the jewels, Subaru touched the door. And just as he did, the jewels on the door started to shine. 4 of them. 4 of the 7 jewels were gleaming brightly, welcoming Natsuki Subaru's visit. The door's master would not admit the visit of those not in possession of the keys. In the wink of an eye, after he blinked, Subaru did not know where he was. Breathing a stunned sigh, Subaru gazed down at his hands. He could see. Of course. There was light here. There was color. He could see where he was standing. He was standing on a stone floor. There was a stone on the floor. Subaru's body stiffened as he glanced around his surroundings in confusion. Around him, there were reddish-brown walls. They were the walls of the circular tower. The huge door behind him led to the outside. He was inside the tower, on the 5th floor of the Pleiades watchtower. He had come back to the very place he had resolutely tried to leave. No way. He could not continue. His words would never come out. It must have happened just after he had blinked. In a split second, Subaru had ended up standing in this place. He could break out of his shock, feeling dizzy, his feet starting to wobble. He was barefoot. His shoes had come off. Subaru ground his teeth together. It was not the case that he had been completely stunned by this place. He could run away right now. No.
Why should I run away?
Subaru looked up above him with extreme fury, murky feelings boiling up inside him. A burning hate like molten magma was zealously whirling inside Subaru, without him even being aware of it. His time alone had ended. The peaceful darkness had ended. Clinging to that scent had ended. His hatred was one without rhyme or reason, towards the fact that everything in his possession there had been wrenched away from him. Why did Subaru have to run away? Someone was planning to kill him and had once, no, twice reaped his life. Why would he want to be in a place where people shamelessly masquerade as good people, hiding that fact under a guise of tranquility? In this tower, there were only suspects. Did he want the culprit to be inside? Had he escaped because he had been unable to do it? He had been an idiot. He had been an idiot. He had been an idiot. He knew jack shit. No matter which of the suspects was the right one, he could just crush them all until he found the right one. Luckily, all those bastards were careless around Subaru. He would find out whether it was only the culprit that would display caution around Subaru. Though, the culprit had no way of knowing that they were being suspected by Subaru. That was the advantage Subaru owned here, having died. Once he had realized that he had died, he knew that someone was trying to kill him. The only thing he had to do was to murder them before they committed that act of murder again. A wicked grin appeared on his face, and Subaru covered his mouth with his hand, stifling his laughter. The idea for his gratification had just suddenly leapt out from inside his head. Subaru had received a blessing from the heavens to pick up and rescue himself. For that to come to pass, he needed some weapon to set matters straight swiftly. Once he had reached and settled on that conclusion, Subaru acted quickly. Subaru rushed down the spiral staircase. He was going down towards the 6th floor below him. It was fuzzy in his memory, but he recalled that the 6th floor was the lowermost floor of this tower. When Subaru and the others... No, when the original Natsuki Subaru and the others had come to the tower, they had borrowed on the strength of lizards to cross the desert, using things that looked rather like horse-drawn carriages. Of course, if there were such things lying about, they would come in useful for an emergency. Arriving at the lowermost floor, Subaru found the carriage he was looking for. However, his feet stopped there. The reason why he reacted like that was because, just beside the carriage, collapsed there was a huge lizard, already dead. Its head was missing. Its body from the neck down was lying on the floor. Had the blow that had decapitated it been that powerful? The head that had been blown off was nowhere to be seen nearby. Instead, blood had flowed out of its huge body, staining the ground below. He found that a considerable amount of time had passed since this tragedy had occurred, since the blood had dried already.
The stingers.
What Subaru had thought about at this moment was that it looked a lot like how the mysterious white stingers had blown up the head of the earthworm, which he had battled against immediately after leaving the tower. This impression was consistent with the remains of the lizard collapsed here. Then that attack had been from someone inside the tower. Most likely, one of the suspects' attacks. Thus, the lizards themselves had been treated just like cattle, in their pitiful lack of burial, too.
Does this mean that they aren't trying to hide their true colors anymore?
It seemed like his opponent had been quick-tempered, and rather than giving Subaru a chance to escape, they had instead delivered a decisive blow. Whilst trembling at this fact, Subaru went inside an intact carriage. It showed signs of having been used as a place to sleep. Tearing through the inside, Subaru found a big knife in one's bag. Dare he say it had some purpose? Something akin to a survival knife. Rather than it being an all-out weapon, the large knife was probably good for cutting through obstacles. But in this situation, it would still be a splendid weapon that would fulfill Subaru's aims.
I don't know who the enemy is. But
He would show them. With his body blazing with dark feelings, Natsuki Subaru headed upstairs, knife in hand. A twisted smile curved across his cheeks, boosted by this hatred. If he wanted to be saved, if he wanted to escape, he must believe that anything he murders was justified. And with that, he would proceed. Below his smiling cheeks, he did not notice the tears of fear streaming down his face. And that's the end of the chapter.
Jesus Christ, you're
Boy.
Oh
Woo!
boy.
Ooh, okay. There's a lot.
Yay!
A lot.
There's a lot.
There's a part in there that I finally understand now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That helps when it's
Yeah.
narrated.
Yeah.
Thanks, Taldy.
No.
You
When I
are
originally
welcome.
read through this, I was like, that's definitely what that is. But I was really confused at first because I was just like, what is happening? What is going on? That was like a full
Yeah,
picture, so I can kind of
there's so
imagine
much
all
just
of the
happened in
events
the
of this.
chapter.
Like, it's so sad seeing Subaru fucking. He's like devolving so hard. He's like dying of thirst, and he's He's at his limit, and he can't do it anymore. It's so sad. And, but
Mental
then
breakdown.
a
I
combination of
also
the
die of
miasma
thirst when I get that
from-
close to my waifu.
Yeah.
Mm.
The combination of the miasma from him being down there and him RBD, he is like actually going crazy now. Like, he's ready to kill someone.
It's a good day to die.
To die.
There's still another episode.
He
If
comes
just
in
getting
and
this
sees-
close to what's probably Satella drives you that crazy, it's going to be really hard to kill her in the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
is the final
It's
boss.
also it's like a really creepy moment that he touches that door and he blinks and then he's back in the tower. Like that's just terrifying. Like,
Yeah, and he's just so out of it that he's completely unfazed.
yeah, he almost like
He's just
falls
like, "Oh,
over
yeah, that
from like
happened,
how
all right."
anxiety-inducing that is. Like he's just like, what the fuck?
Sorry, you don't have enough gym badges to get through here. Send you back to
You
the
Yeah.
really
town.
don't.
The wording on it is very interesting, and it made me think of I went over this a while ago in a talk, but it made me think of the specific term used, key.
Yes.
And we've talked about a key before too, in a
Mhm.
previous arc.
And seemingly an
That was
intangible
interesting to
key.
come again.
Mhm.
A seemingly intangible key, yes. Holy shit, the G-Man.
Whoa, thank you, G-Man.
Thank you, G-Man, again.
Thanks for
Appreciate
stopping
Oh
by.
my god, thank you.
Thank you.
Arigato.
Not
Thank you so much.
Thegman, like I said the last time.
That was funny.
Segment. Segment.
Yo, it's Thegman! Oh my god.
The command!
I thought Thugman had been taken, and so he went with Thegman. My bad.
Thugman 1023 had been taken. You had to go.
Mm, damn it.
Curses! Oh. He is not. He's not having it. Also, new car.
Yeah.
He
Brum, brum.
gradually adapted his body being a new engine.
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, no.
All of
Can
our
you imagine
jokes
how-
are justified.
I
Can
didn't
you
know
imagine
he
how
became a
weird that
Toyota
must be? That
Prius.
like your body has like aged a year and like you've built loads of muscle where you didn't have before, and you're like way more flexible, and it's just like that would feel so weird. Like
Yeah,
like
I think
it's
I've
like
heard
it's
cases
similar, but
to
it's
that
not
happening.
right. What's going on?
It
I've
probably
heard
feels the
cases
opposite
similar
from
to
when
that,
you
with like amnesia.
like finally get like when you get the cast off or like are out of crutches or out of the wheelchair finally, and you feel so much weaker than before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen cases where it's happened with people who like had amnesia, but it was over a stretch where like they started to go to the gym or something, or like started doing exercise, and then they wake up and it's just, hey, what the, I thought I was like 4 years younger.
I'm so fit.
It's yeah. He's like, wow, I can do this. Except he's not actually that happy about it because of all the current circumstances.
hmm
I can do this, but I hate this.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's just another proof to him that this isn't him. Like he's like an imposter in this body almost.
Yes.
He's also
He's
like,
reaping the rewards of not his own
something
work.
he did work towards. Yeah. He can't even be comfortable
Yeah.
and himself in his own body.
Subaru's not allowed happiness.
No, Subaru is not.
Especially in
He's
this
getting
one.
dysphoria.
I mean, like, it's kind of it's also really like with how all of the crazy circumstances, the miasma and all of that. It is genuinely scary seeing Subaru like this, like Subaru with murderous intent. Because I think the only other time we've seen that was when he was breaking down in Arc 3 and wanting to kill the witch cultists.
I mean, we saw it
Yeah.
when he was in the miasma tunnels the last time too.
Yeah, but it's spicy Subaru is not normal Subaru. This is scary.
You did a
Mhm.
good job
He
portraying him
walks
as
in, sees
scary.
Patrasha's head blown off, and still goes, "Yeah, I can take it. I can take it."
Chilling. I think Subaru
I
just
just need a
became a
knife.
Resident
I
Evil
can take it.
villain. Now it's just the rest of the cast fucking playing a whole Resident Evil game with Subaru roaming around.
Yeah. All I need is a knife. I don't need any other pickup items. I just need a knife.
A knife. No.
No!
No! It's a
Yes.
corpse. Poor fucking guy, man. He's really got nothing. Other than his knife. Like, what even is this? This is just
It's not even like a combat knife, it's like a little
self-defense
survival
mechanism,
knife.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do after this, even? Like, this is such a short-term plan, too, that he's concocted out of just fear. Like, what if you kill everyone, what do you do afterwards?
This is like
You can't escape.
desperation. Everyone is gonna kill me. I have to kill them before they hurt me.
Yeah. You kill everyone in the tower. Good. Then how do you deal with the earthworms? How do you deal with the quicksand?
You don't.
You don't.
Yeah,
You don't.
Maybe he should
That's
just
the
live in the
neat
tower
part.
forever.
You don't.
Maybe the green
He
room
lives
can
in the
grow
tower
vegetables or something. He'll be chilling, you know.
Why do you think it's green?
Vegetables.
Oh my god, the only vegetables that are the ones that Shawler's master smoked back in the day.
Ayo.
Smoked. Yeah, it's just tobacco.
Nah, lush green, baby.
Oh, just straight up weed. Okay.
Yeah.
The green room was actually just a weed
Just the
growing
green
farm.
room.
I love that for it.
Yeah, it's actually a green room.
I shit you
That's
not.
fucked.
I would not be surprised if there was ever a moment where you're confronting Flugel and he's just like, "Yeah, it's my weed room, man."
It's legal here, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it started to do some weird stuff like healing after a few years, but like, you know,
I mean, if it
it's
works, it
primarily
works.
a weed room. Primarily a weed room, secondarily a healing room. The healing was like a byproduct that he had to have to be able to make the weed.
Oh, sorry, the chat's like the green room just makes you think you're healing.
Oh no!
It's
Damn.
subliminal messaging in your mind.
Yeah.
You are healed. Yeah.
Oh.
Fucking weather report as you're healed, so you are healed. You think you're healed.
The ultimate placebo effect.
It's spirit gaslighting. That's what it is.
I guess now the question becomes, how do we go up from here? Like, we can't be like this forever, right? Come on.
Well,
I think if he
I
dies, he
mean,
gets back upstairs.
yeah, temporarily.
Yeah. Before he's thrown back down them.
Yeah, he tumbles down. He's what this guy needs. He needs therapy and a pep talk and therapy. Mainly therapy.
Why not both?
And a hug.
Why not? But there's been no presented like. How do you? This guy hates everyone. He thinks everyone's his enemy. There's nowhere for him to run to. I mean, that's a good thing at the very least that there's nowhere to run to. Ironically, because if Subaru was able to just run off, then the story just doesn't continue.
Yeah.
Everyone probably dies in the watchtower. So.
Rip.
Yeah.
Ripperoni,
Anyways, Patricia's head
pepperoni.
is ripped off.
Yeah.
That made me really sad.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah.
girl deserves better.
Which means
Or
is
was it
murdering
Frou
everyone in the
Frou
tower.
and Patrash? I think it might just be
It was Patrash
It's
who's on the
Joe.
green, right?
Is the
Joe.
other
Yeah, it's
one-
Joe.
in
It's
here
Joe.
right now?
That's his name.
Joseph.
What kind of
That's
sick
not a
fuck
joke,
would
chat,
bite off
by the
people's
way.
heads?
His name is
His
like
name is
canonically
actually
Joseph.
Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In this world,
Rip
the Joe
Joe.
stars become fucking ground dragons.
Become ground dragon. Maybe that's why Patrash is so baller. Patrash is actually secretly a Joe star.
Wait, is that why
Fuck yeah.
Subaru's JoJo poses always work in the anime? Whenever he does a weird pose, it turns
Holy
out all right.
shit.
It's his stand power.
It's his stand power,
We just
yeah.
don't even know it yet.
He has to hit a pose and then the loop will go fine.
I see the long con tape. I approve.
It's
When are
it's
we
gonna be a
following the
secret
next generation
authority.
of Natskis, that's all I'm saying, you know?
Yeah. After ReZero concludes, it's an entire new like 13 arcs of just Chalk Arena.
Oh my god.
That'd be fucked.
Just a bit.
What even could happen after? Like, well, he's probably not getting.
I feel
a
like
good ending anyways
with
for
how
that.
much work Pay has put into the V0 series, he's either gonna full send it and just dedicate the rest of his life to writing other stuff in the universe, or he's never gonna touch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he like completes it and he's just, I'm done. This is my masterpiece. Time to move on.
But with that,
I mean, he's
think...
getting all of his stuff out with other series, right, Vivi? And all that freaking.
Yeah. I mean, he's been
Suicide
working
Squad
on
Isekai.
anime these past couple years. But with that, I think we should probably call it for the night, because I am actually getting dehydrated.
Understandable.
Ah, I thought you were gonna say I'm actually high.
Legitimately need.
I'm actually in my green room.
I wish
This was
we
fun,
could.
everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone! Thank you for stopping